Hello everyone, my name is Lee Johnson, coming to y'all from Denver, Colorado on vacation, and I'll be giving y'all a review on the user interface for the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is the most latest console from Nintendo, and the draw to it is that not only can you play it handheld, but you can also connect it to a TV as well. As you can see here, the main component of the interface are all of the games that the users played, starting from the most recent, dating all the way back to the earliest game played. You can also see at the very end, there's an all software button, so if the user clicks it, they'll be able to bring up all of the games that they've downloaded, and then an option to re-download any of their software. You can also see at the bottom that they give a couple options for things like news, the Nintendo eShop where you can buy more games, albums of pictures that have been taken over time, controller setup, system settings, and then obviously sleep mode. And then at the top, there's also a page for the user where you can easily see the profile for the user, any friends that they might have, online play invites, friend suggestions, adding friends, and then settings just for the user. One of the main benefits of the setup for the user interface is that you can obviously reference the game that you've most recently played. You can see here that Fire Emblem is the game that comes up first for me. It's a game that I've played a lot in the past couple months, and it's very convenient that I'm able to reference that game and see it pop up first. That way, I don't have to go digging around in all of the games that the Switch has in order to play it. However, one of the problems with this is that if I want to reference a game that I haven't played in a while, I have to scroll through and determine where it is. And if it doesn't fit in this original lineup, I then have to go into the alt software and then figure out where it is, if it fits on this screen and I don't need to re-download it. Another downside is that if you look at the top left corner where the title is listed, you can see there's a little cartridge icon. This tells me that there's a cartridge inserted into the Switch for this game. Looking at my next game, Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, you can see that there's no cartridge icon for that game, which means that it's been downloaded online and that it's available to me to play whenever I want. You can see here that through some of my apps, there is no sorting of games that have cartridges versus games that don't have cartridges. So for me on vacation, that means that if I want to play a certain game, I need to determine whether or not I can either play it on vacation without the cartridge here, or I need to wait until I get home in order to play it. A setup where the games were separated based on online games versus games with cartridges would be very helpful for a user who has lots of games and doesn't necessarily keep track of how many cartridges they have or what games they purchased online. Now, looking in the system settings, one of the other benefits of the Nintendo Switch setup is that all of the categories for settings have been sorted into convenient groups. So it's pretty easy to figure out where you need to go in order to change a setting, such as data management, internet, the users, me setups, the amiibos, and so on and so forth. However, one of the main glaring problems with this is that with all of these categories, sometimes it's a little confusing to figure out where you need to go. For instance, in the setup, you can see here that there's a system update option specifically for the Switch. However, in controllers and settings, you can see here at the bottom that there's a setting specifically to update the controllers. Not only that, but if you remember on the main screen, there's also a page specifically for controller setup. So if I'm a new user to the Switch, I have to figure out, do I need to go to the controller setup page, into the system settings, or do I need to go specifically to the controller settings? So while the setup for the Nintendo Switch is convenient for the average user, it does take a little bit of knowledge in order to figure out how to work and where to go into the settings in order to change specific things. All in all, however, the Nintendo Switch setup is pretty convenient and it's pretty helpful for what it does. Most of the time you're not changing settings or doing anything like that. You're just going to be referencing the most recent game that you've played. So for what it is, it's pretty convenient and easy to learn for the user.